This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
It's Friday night. Hello, everybody. This is Alec, and this is the Ramble, and we go until midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to who we have here. It's Larry Bubbles Brown. Yay!
Yes, still alive.
Still alive. Yeah.
I had a flashback. I did a gig the other night at the Palace of Fine Arts, and I thought I hadn't been in there since I did shows with you.
Wow,
20 years ago.
Long time ago. Yeah. People should know that every New Year's we used to do a show at the Palace of Fine Arts, which
was literally a block from your apartment.
Yeah. And then afterwards, we walked back to my apartment and have a little party.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's fun. It was fun to walk one block, spend about a couple of hours in a place, and come home and have made $20,000.
That's what the show business is all about.
Of which we would share a lot of it with the comics who appeared on the show, because we paid. I think we paid well, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
I think we paid better than anybody else in town, and that forced the others to bring their price up. So we actually made comics a lot more money by paying them a lot more money.
Mm-hmm.
But did I have a reputation of being a well-paying gig?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Everybody wanted on it. And,
yeah, that made me feel good. But anyway, what's happening in the wonderful world of Larry Brown?
That was about it. Starting to get back to work. I'm still very rusty, but it went well, and I have to do more sets. But
And when you go to these gigs, like for instance at the Palace of Fine Arts, was everybody required to be vaccinated or wear a mask? Or
they were, yeah. They were looking at cards and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just not in every city in California. San Francisco and L.A., I think. Some places you don't have to. So
yeah, but I think it's good that you have to. Okay, I think it's good that you can't go to anything in San Francisco if you don't have a vaccination. You know, so whatever. Yeah.
Well, and the same in New York, right?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, restaurants and so on want you to be vaccinated. I think they also want you to be vaccinated for the health of their patrons, you know. But it's a good incentive for people to go out and get the vaccination. You know, it's not going to cost them a penny, and they suddenly are not out on the edge of society where they can't do stuff because they're not vaccinated. So it's good. It's good. But I'm very tired today. Can I explain?
Yeah, you sound a little tired.
Oh, God, I'm exhausted. Okay, so I go to bed about 2:30 every night. You know, I don't know when you go to sleep, but
same time, yeah.
Yeah, I always stayed up late. You know, when I'm not working, when I don't have to be somewhere at 6 o'clock in the morning or something.
I like as a kid in high school. I remember that was the hours I preferred.
Yeah, well, I preferred. I find that working late at that late hour, I get more work done. Primarily because there are no phones ringing. You know, Marjorie's asleep, and I can just get my work done. So anyway, so I go to bed about 2:30. All right. So then I take a pill. I take what I call my nice pill, which is my pregabalin for my neuropathy, which really does help. And I take a thing for my prostate to make it loose, and it also acts as a sleeping pill because it can cause drowsiness. So between the two, I lull off to sleep pretty well. Last night I had to take a hit of pot to give me an extra boost to go to sleep. But I went to sleep at about 2:30. 3 o'clock, I looked at the clock. I was still kind of awake. Well, they've been doing a thing here in the building called pointing. Have you ever heard of this? I never heard of it until I got to New York. Okay, I think it's something they do in New York because a lot of the places in New York are built out of brick. I don't think we have a lot of brick structures in San Francisco. Maybe something like, I don't know, Ghirardelli Square or something, but it was fashionable. But you have to, after a certain amount of time, go back to the building, and where all the bricks come together, you got to kind of look and see if it's falling apart, and then you grout it. You drill it out, and then you put in some more grout and things like that, right? So that's what's called pointing. And so they put up these big braces on the building, and they got these guys on these what do you call it? These I don't know, what do you call them when they're just like, it's like a thing that goes up that they're on. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you mean. Yeah,
the thing that goes up that they stand on while they're working outside the building, which I wouldn't do because it would drive me crazy, and also that's got to be the most boring work in the world. Thank God I went into radio. Anyway, so I get to bed about 3 o'clock. I finally fall out. 8:30 this morning. The drills are going, and they're right outside my bedroom window.
Wow, I hate that.
And this is the second morning in a row, and I figured, okay, well, I'll take another hit of the pot, and I'll go back to sleep. But I couldn't go back to sleep because they're just drilling to a fare-thee-well. And not just small drilling. Sometimes they go, right? This was like jackhammer noise. So I can't go back to sleep doing that. So that woke me up, and I'm beat. All right, I only got about 5 hours sleep. Thanks.
Well, what's the longest you've ever gone without sleep?
I was talking about this yesterday when I was doing a show. We do a show called The Pop-Up on Mondays at 4 o'clock. Then we were talking about the Beatles' Get Back movie and all of that. And I talked about when I went to London. And I did my all-night show, and then they said, we want to send you to England on the Paul is dead rumor thing, okay? So I had been up pretty much since about, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because I slept when I got home, which was about 6 in the morning, and I would sleep till about 2. So I was up at about 2, and then I did my show overnight, all right? Then I had to go out immediately and go to the passport bureau to get a passport, okay? And then I had to go get a passport, and then I had to, in those days you had to get shots to go to Europe. You had to get, I can't remember what the shots were, but you had to get them. So I had to go to a doctor and get shots. So then I had to go home, and I had to pack. And then I had to go out to the plane, which took off at 7 o'clock at night, and I couldn't sleep on the plane, so I got to London still with no sleep. All right? Book into the hotel, suddenly realize it's Friday. If I don't go over to Apple and see them on Friday, nobody might be there on Saturday, so I better get over there now. So I am now still without sleep. I think I counted it in the end, 36 hours without sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was ghastly. It was ghastly. I never went through anything like that. What was the longest you ever stayed awake?
I was 36 hours myself when my first Letterman. I went back and I flew to New York on Monday morning and did a run-through set that night, and then I was supposed to do the show Tuesday, and I'm lying in bed in the hotel Monday night, and suddenly it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I realized I'm not falling asleep. I couldn't do it. So I got to the studio with about 36 hours, and
why didn't you sleep? Were you that?
I think I was just too keyed up about doing the show.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, that's a make it or break it for your career. Unless, of course, you're Larry Brown, who kills on the show, is asked to come back, and doesn't do it for 20 years. And to this day, I still, I can't get a straight answer about what was that all about.
No, I tried. I think they didn't want me back after the first shot for a while. I don't know why.
They didn't want you back for a while, but they wanted you back.
I tried for a couple of years, and I just gave up.
Really? I thought they
Yeah.
said, get some more material, come back and see us, and you were great. And you were great on that show.
Well, it was fun, but
Yeah. But then you had a killer set, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I like having the record longest time for a comedian between appearances.
You know what's happening? Everybody in the world is trying to call me now, and my business manager is calling me. What about? I have no idea. Maybe it's something wrong with my account.
Maybe you should pick it up. It could be important.
Well, no, we'll just, wait and see what it was. I have no idea. Oh boy, normally I do this. No, but I have no friends, so I don't get calls. The only people I get
have no
the only
friends.
people
You
I
got a lot
get
of
calls from are spam, and in that case, I talk to them because it's a call I'm getting. It's so nice of you to call, but I don't get calls. And all of a sudden, here while I'm doing this, I've got an Apple Watch, and I put it on mute, but my wrist vibrates. And my wrist has vibrated twice since we started this interview. Nobody ever calls me, mind you. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, I give up. Anyway, well,
that horrible when you're awake like for 36 hours, that sick feeling that is. And I think it's like after about 3 days, I think if you don't get sleep, you go into a psychotic reaction.
Could be. Could very well be. I think the 36, I was able to do what I did, although I did talk about the fact that I interviewed Ringo. They said, Ringo came in the building to interview Ringo, and halfway through the interview, I blanked out. I couldn't think of another question to ask him. And I'm not one of these people that sits around and while somebody is talking to me in an interview, I don't sit there thinking in my mind, what's my next question going to be? A lot of people do that, and it's wrong. You don't do that. You hold a conversation, and they say something, and then you say something. It's like you and I, We're not thinking about, I'm not thinking about the next thing I'm going to ask Larry Bubbles Brown. So that's the way you do it. And even in that kind of situation, I just blanked out. I couldn't think of the next thing to respond with. And I looked at Ringo and I just said, I'm just wiped out, man. He says, you look it. The only time that ever happened was a couple of years later. I was interviewing Jack Nicholson. And it's a long story, but it basically, there was this drug in Ibiza called Dormadinas, and they were a half a dose of Quaaludes. And this woman I knew always had them. Her name was Ginger J. Walker. Believe it or not, that was her name, Ginger J. Walker. And
wow.
Yeah, how can I ever forget that name? As I'm in my grave, I will remember the name Ginger J. Walker. But anyway, we were out having dinner, and she says, "Here, you want a Dormadina?" And I knew that they only lasted like a couple hours, so I said, "Fine, I'm not on till 2 in the morning." And I took one. And then she said, halfway through, 3/4 of the way through the meal, have you felt it yet? And I said, no. She says, well, here, have another one. And I took another one. I'm driving her home. About 2 hours later, she says, did it hit you? I said, no. She says, here, have another one. So I'm looking at my watch. I'm going, if I take another one, 2 o'clock, I'm fine, right? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All of a sudden, I'm halfway through my interview with Jack Nicholson, and it hits like on 4 cylinders, man. Boom! I'm just It hits like crazy. So, what is the problem here? And I'm trying to do the interview with Nicholson, and I'm so spaced out I can't even see straight, right? I'm seeing two Jack Nicholsons in front of me. And finally, I look at him and I go, man, I am stoned. I am wrecked. And he said the same thing Ringo said to me in England. You look it, pal. You know, with that Jack Nicholson voice.
Wow.
You look it, pal. And then once I said it, I kind of got through the interview. But man, oh man, he was happy that I was loaded. I mean, you know, that was Jack. Jack took.
I'd love to see that interview.
Well, you can't see it. I don't know I don't think I have that interview anywhere. I have another one with him, but that I did at the same station, but I don't have that one. But I remember that night he took my girlfriend at the time, who I was seeing, and took her up to the men's room and had her do some lines of coke with him. You know, so Jack, it wasn't like Jack wasn't into drugs and wasn't happy that I was high, you know. So. But geez almighty, I mean, I was loaded, man. I was just loaded.
Well, I forgot that Quaaludes were huge in the 70s.
They were great to fuck on.
What did they do? I thought they just made you really relax.
They also kind of made you touchy-feely and horny and stuff.
Okay.
Later on, there was a drug called ecstasy that came along. And I never tried it because when it's called ecstasy and it's a drug, I go, it might not be good for you, you know. But I found out that actually ecstasy is not a dangerous drug. That it, in fact, has very little side effects. But the upside is you take this drug, and all of a sudden, for hours, you're very touchy-feely. I mean, I have had sex on ecstasy, and I knew why they called it ecstasy. You know, because it really just enhanced all your tactile feelings and all the smells and all of that, you know. So, you've never been much of a druggie, have you?
Not at all. No, I did try cocaine 3 times. That was it.
Yeah.
I never smoked pot.
Why haven't you smoked pot? I would think that at your age you've come into contact with it, certainly.
Oh yeah, I just someone early on told me, somebody's had a paranoid reaction to pot, which I heard you can get. So I thought that would happen to me, so I didn't want to try it.
Pot does that to me now. It makes me a little edgy and uncomfortable.
But I heard it can make you sleep well.
Yeah, I will take one puff of it to get me a little drowsy, and it helps. But I won't. And I've got one of these electronic things. And you put the capsule in there and you smoke it, and that's the best way for me to ingest it. And I smoke it, and I get a little high, and I'm drowsy, and I go to sleep. You know, along with all the other drugs that I take to go to sleep.
Your local pharmacy.
Yeah, my local pharmacy. But you never did drug. You never did coke. You did coke 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah, I was doing it constantly when you knew me. You know.
I never knew that.
Yeah. I don't know. What?
Did you feel like it was becoming an addiction?
You know what it was? I finally quit it when I went to Florida. I hit the Florida border, and I had my last line of coke that I had with me, and I just quit. You know, the thing I was worried about is if you stop, maybe you'll get all edgy and whatever, and I got to work and so on. So I just kept doing it rather than go through what I considered to be withdrawal symptoms. And then I found that I had no withdrawal symptoms at all. It's just, you know, every now and then I longed for some coke. But I've always been funny about drugs, in that if I decide to quit them, I quit them. Like smoking. Once I decide to quit smoking, I just quit smoking. And once I decide to quit coke, I quit coke. And I did, and then I did some about a year later. We came back to San Francisco, and we were doing one of those, New Year's shows at the Palace of Fine Arts. And we came back to my place, and I figured, I haven't done this in a year. Let's see how it is. It's got to be really good because it'll be like the last time I did it. It'll be like the first time I ever did it. I'll get that real pow. So, because anytime you do any drug for any amount of time, all of a sudden you're just doing it to be doing it. You're not doing it because it's getting you that initial rush you got the first time. So I tried it that night, and I suddenly realized I didn't get that rush. What happened was it simply picked up where I left off. And so I never did coke again at all. I just thought I would test it out. And
I did. Yeah, that was. I remember a lot of comics in the '80s they had some really bad times. They kind of got hooked on it.
Yeah. But and as far as quitting smoking, I quit smoking, and a couple of years later, I was with my friend Steve Gruberg, and we were in Vegas, and he and my then girlfriend, I think, his wife and his then girlfriend went off somewhere to do something, and Steve said, because we had both quit smoking, we hadn't smoking for years, right? He said, let's go in there and buy a pack of cigarettes, and when they come back, we'll be smoking. And see their reaction, because they both knew we didn't smoke anymore. So we got a pack of cigarettes, and there we were. I wouldn't even allow myself to inhale it. Okay? I did what my mother used to do. She thought she was a cigarette smoker, but she wasn't. She would just inhale it into her mouth and expel it,
Yeah.
But I did that just quickly, and I was worried I was going to start all over again. Because when I quit smoking, I never had a Jones for cigarettes again. Never.
Oh, that's
Not
good.
once. You never smoked, did you?
No, my parents are both smoke, and I hated it because everything smelled so bad from it. Remember how bad it was in the clubs when they used to smoke in there?
You don't smoke.
You'd come home, your clothes would be drenched in that crap. And
you don't smoke. You don't drink.
No.
You don't do coke. You don't smoke pot. What do you do? What do you do for fun?
I'm the most boring person in the world.
What do you do for fun?
I run 6 miles. That's
you run
my fun.
6 miles. You know something? Endorphins.
I guess.
You're getting high off the endorphins. Well,
I
listen.
was reading that. Remember Robert Palmer, the musician?
Yeah.
He died at 52 from a heart attack. He's got some songs I kind of like. I looked up one day, and I thought 52, he probably did a lot of drugs, and I looked it up. He said Robert Palmer didn't do drugs, but he did smoke 20 cigarettes a day. No, 60 cigarettes a day.
60 cigarettes a day?
Yeah.
Well, I used to do. I used to do 40. I used to do 40.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't smoke anymore. If I did 40 cigarettes a day today, I'd be broke.
They're very expensive.
They're something $12 a pack, I understand.
Well, wow.
I mean, man, you could smoke 2 packs a day when they were like 50 cents a piece. But Jesus, I'm surprised they don't sell it illegally, because the price is so high, selling it illegally may make it cheaper for you. I don't know. Anyway, hey, listen. It's good talking to you again.
Yes, let's light up.
Let smoke if you got 'em, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Larry Bubbles Brown. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye-bye.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And that's our good friend Larry Bubbles Brown. Always nice to have Larry here. We usually do him on Friday night. And so anyway, last night, by the way, we ran Kravitz, rerun of Kravitz. Kravitz has not been with us for the last many weeks, but I want to have him continue to have a presence here. So that's why we're running old versions of his interviews. And he will be back, but he's had to take some time off to take care of himself. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say. If he wants to talk about what has gone on in his life, we'll talk about it, but that's up to him. Okay. Let me see. Anything else I got to talk about? Not really. Well, I do have something I can talk about, but I'll wait till we get some some people here. We got people already lined up, starting to get queue, as they say, into the citizen panel. And let me see here. Let me go here. Let's see here. We still Trucker Steve. You got to push your button, and we'll be ready to go. There they are, folks. There's Alan, and there's Charlie Wallace, and there is Josh, and there is Trucker Steve. And we haven't seen his dog Rocky lately, but maybe he's around somewhere. And how are you all doing tonight?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Rained out again.
Rained out again? Yay! I'm happy for that. I guess you're not. You get paid for it, don't you?
Yeah, I don't get paid when you get rained out.
Yeah, you don't get paid when you get rained
Charlie's going to go on the, he's going to have to eat crumbs out of the cabinet now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I can't exactly reveal the whole nature of this thing that happened to me today, but it is one of the happiest happenstances that has happened to me in about 8 or 9 years.
Oh.
The judge in our case, see, when we stopped our case, we agreed to pay somebody some money to get out of the way so we could get the apartment, and the landlord then agreed they would give us the apartment, and so that got us out of the equation. There were 3 parties involved. It was the landlord and I and Marjorie against the guy who rented us the apartment. And so we kind of came out, I think, to the good, in that we don't have to move, we don't have to go. We're here permanently, and But now it's time to get a lease out of the landlords, and that's not been the easiest thing in the world because there's some other negotiating that had to go on. And this has been going on for the last couple of days, and so it hasn't supplied me with any amount of agita. I know that legally we had everything on our side, and the decision in the court was a matter of record, and the judge approving of it was a matter of record, and so we have to get a lease. It was just a matter of when and how. Well, today, when we left, the other 2 parties were still left in court fighting each other, and they finished off their case. That would be the guy who had previously rented this place and the landlord. And part of our deal that we made was that if at any point it is determined that the legal rent-stabilized rent, as of right now, was lower than it is, what we were willing to pay, then we would get to pay the lower amount. And today the judge came out with a ruling that stated that the landlord was wrong, this other guy was right, and they have to pay him money in a certain amount based upon a lower rent-stabilized rent. Okay? So what this established was what the rent-stabilized rent should be now, and because we all agreed that if it went down, our rent would go down. And I can't tell you how much it's gone down, but I will tell you it's under $1,000 a month.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Maybe
landlord.
For New York City, that's bonus.
Yeah, and not just a small amount less, a considerable amount less than that, even at the worst case scenario. So
I'm paying almost that much, $1,000 a month for 560 square feet.
yeah, well, that's in your neck of the woods. This is
Beautiful
New York City.
But you've got 2,500 square feet, you said.
Yeah, but you know what you get for what you pay for 500 square feet in New York City?
But
Oh, I'd say 2,500, 3,000.
yeah, normally, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was we jumped up and down. Originally, the number our lawyer gave us was very low. And then he looked back at what he considered the law and that the judge may be wrong in how much he was saying it should go down to. Okay. And that my lawyer feels that he has to, in all good conscience, tell the judge, hey, you really can't do that. You got to really bring the price up a little bit, because it's based upon the lowest rent for an apartment in this, what we call line. We're like in the I line, okay? The lowest rent paid 4 years prior to the beginning of this action. So it's based upon that lowest rent, and that's slightly higher than what the judge, or a bit higher than the judge said. But in any event, it's going to be, believe me, the landlords are not going to take this sitting down, okay? They're gonna put this into an appeals court and things like that. But in the meantime, they have to let us have the rent at the lower amount. And if it's true, I got the bargain of a lifetime. But it may not be. So let me just knock on wood here and just say this is all just tentative, you know. But it's really amazing. Because I didn't think it would go down. I didn't think it would go up either. But there's some other mitigating circumstances in which the judge was soured on the landlords, but we won't go into that. But you know, I'm not saying how much it is, but once it's settled, once we've signed the lease, I'll be happy to say here how much we're paying, because it is so astonishingly low. It's ridiculous. If this happens. Okay, I say if this happens. But that was the word we got today. The judge said, you know, the only thing is this other guy that we're paying the $75,000 to is going to get about $203,000 from the landlords as well, on top of what he gets from us. And he's also got his lawyer's fees taken care of, which didn't happen in our case. So, but we're happy. We're happy with it. We're delighted, you know. This means I could probably live. Yeah, I have to live to be 100 now, just so I can get the benefit of all the problems we went through and so on. And if the price comes to where we think it's going to be, I can pretty much. I have enough money to keep me going until I'm 100. Okay, and still be able to pay rent.
Well, you can live there another 5 years, is what you're saying, huh? To 100.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you very much. You always make me feel better about myself, Alan.
I do it. I'm that way.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, other than that,
I should be a Republican, huh?
Yeah, somebody was writing me about you. You want me to read what they wrote?
I don't care. Sure, go ahead.
You don't care?
I'm nasty, I'm sure.
Well, let's see how much of it you agree with. Okay, let me see if I can find that letter. Here we go. Ryan sounds like a kid. We had Ryan was on last night, and I've often wondered, is he really a kid? I mean, he's precocious enough, and he doesn't want anybody to see him. So he says, he told you he's in Idaho, but will not tell you the city. He comes across like the son of those patriot-type families. You should have asked him how many guns he has. Anyway, then he says...
At 10 years old?
Huh?
At 10 years old, this guy's a real smart guy.
Oh, yeah. But then I got another letter about you, and I can't find it here now. I don't have it.
It's one of those disappearing ones.
Huh? Well, they said that basically they felt that last night Jeff kind of smirked when you pulled a joke. I think it had something to do with it was a sexist joke. And then they said, we're really sick and tired of watching him eat while he's on the air.
Okay.
And I tend to agree with that.
Sometimes, okay, I won't do
I'm
that.
going to discourage, but let me put it this way. I want to discourage you from eating. It obviously hasn't done good things for you.
Well, yeah, sort of, yeah, okay. I do eat periodically on the show. I snack a little bit, but
yeah.
Okay, I'll agree with that, and I'll abide by what you say. And
no, if you want to eat, go ahead and eat, but just bring enough for the rest of us.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, okay.
I want you to share with the class. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll just throw it at the camera, and whoever can catch it catches. If you don't catch it, tough luck.
Let me see here.
So somebody was annoyed by me eating on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just had a physical today, first time in a year, and I'm actually down 21 pounds from a year ago.
Or as they know it, and as they know it at Weight Watchers, spit in the fucking ocean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm still not tiny by any means, so yeah, that's right.
Somebody once said, "How does Alan look thinner?" And they said, "Fat." So
That's
you know,
right.
I mean,
No, you want to look thinner, you hang out with people that are fatter than you.
Yeah. Well, who am I to talk? I put on about 25 pounds or something, but I had a prostate operation. Okay, so that causes it. Hello there. First of all, Josh, of course, is here tonight. Hello, Josh.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. And Kevin is here. Hello there, Kevin.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good, I'm fine. And we've been joined, as we are sometimes, occasionally, by Ray Renati. Hello, Ray.
Hello.
And
I'm going to come be here more often.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was here for years, and then I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Well, we'd like
You got punished for eating on the show.
No, you
Almost,
stop
yeah.
it. And then, of course, we have our old friend, Trucker Steve. Wait a minute. Did you hurt your arm or something? Or
I had surgery
for
for a fistula to change the way that dialysis is done on my arm.
Oh, okay. So what they've really done is I put it
just today.
Yeah.
I just come out of surgery around 6 o'clock.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
this thing, once this heals, this thing in my chest will be gone.
Oh, okay. So that's easier. It's like they put a USB port in you. I think I said the other day.
Kind of.
Yeah.
They grafted 2 veins, so they can when they put. The only thing that sucks about it is I have to take 2 needles every 2 days to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's better than having this fucking hose hanging out of my chest.
Oh well, yeah. Okay. So the hose is gone.
So now once this heals, I'll be able to go shower normally
Okay.
and go swimming again.
Oh, good.
Oh, great.
Terrific. Terrific. And but I just hope they find you a kidney sometime. You know.
Yeah, well, I talked to the doctor. And I said it could be a 3.5-year wait.
Wow.
That's not much compared to the United States.
If I wait for somebody to die, who's a donor.
Right.
But if I get a living donor, I'm not sure. It could be a lot soon.
Yeah.
Good. That's great. That's great news.
Yeah.
Maybe one of us could give him one.
Yeah, What?
You gotta be the right type, so to speak.
Yeah.
What? Handsome?
I'm A negative.
A
I'm A
negative.
It's your
positive.
blood type.
If you're
Yeah.
O negative or there's an O negative or O positive,
Universal donor.
Yeah.
yeah.
Would you hate to be? Would you hate to be a universal donor though? Because then you feel guilty unless you let like vampires come at you. You know.
Sucks.
Some of us are Jewish. We don't know guilt.
Yeah.
What?
The Jews
What?
don't get guilty?
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
I thought that was all you knew.
I got a laugh out of Jeff and Charlie on that. Yeah, that's all we know.
I mean,
Well,
Jews
Jewish and
get
Catholic.
Jews have an orgasm from guilt. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Guilt for everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know what's happening in the news. Oh, these parents out in Michigan.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They gave their kid a gun for his birthday or something.
Well, that's what the kids said.
Yeah.
The parents have gone missing, of course.
Oh, are they
They
missing?
turn themselves in.
They did?
Yeah, that must have been recent. Yeah.
Oh.
They said they showed up to face the charges, supposedly.
Yeah.
And the charges are they gave their son a gun?
The charges are involuntary manslaughter.
Man, what
Or
a
count.
disaster.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
bought him
because they let him. It's bizarre. If you heard the charges, it's absolutely bizarre.
Oh yeah, I know.
What's bizarre about the charges?
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing that they that happened was essentially the kid was in school. Mm-hmm. He was searching for ammo during class. Mm-hmm. He got popped during class, and the kid was sent down. One of the teachers saw him searching for ammo in class. He got popped, and another teacher had seen him doing that. Another teacher saw him drawing a picture with stick figures that said, "Help me," and blood all over the place, and blood will will fly, something like that.
Yeah.
And the picture was turned in. The teacher took pictures of the internet search and the picture, turned them into the office. They pulled the kid into the office and called the parents in. They talked to the parents. Parents basically told them, "Oh, he's fine." The kid probably had the gun in his backpack. They didn't search the backpack. They argued that the kid should go back to class. The teacher or the school sent the kid back to class, and the parents went home. And on the way home, apparently, and this is just verbatim, I'm just going off what I heard
right.
of the prosecutor. On the way home, the mother sent a text to the kid and said, "LOL, quit doing that. Don't get caught next time. LOL." And meaning, don't be searching, don't be drawing these drawings, stuff like that.
Right.
By the time they got home, they must have realized that the gun was gone. And at that time, apparently the shooting had already started. And the father realized, "Oh shit, that's my kid," and called the school and said, "I think that's my son doing the shooting." And that's why everything, got resolved so quickly. So now,
let me ask you this: what kind of gun was it? Was it a handgun?
the Sauer 6, I think they call it.
9mm.
Mm-hmm. Sig Sauer is the name brand. Yeah.
But
Sig Sauer,
is it a handgun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hey Kevin,
and the father had bought it for him on the 24th or the 26th.
On Black Friday.
On Black Friday. And the kid showed it on Instagram and said, "Oh, look what Daddy bought me for Christmas." And the whole bit. It's just like it's a drop dead case. I mean, I don't see why anything should go any different.
Ray has
I'm not saying that the parents did the right thing, but just out of fairness, because I heard somebody analyzing this. The news has been reporting that they bought it for the kid because the kid said they did. That doesn't mean they did, because kids lie and brag all the time.
Okay.
Well, the prosecutor said he did, and the prosecutor showed a picture of the Instagram post.
Yes, he went to the gun. He was there when his dad bought the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the dad said, "Oh, here's a gun for you." So I'm just saying that, it might not be as, how the news does all the time.
That's right. It might not be as cut and dry.
Yeah. And the other thing was, I heard that the pictures and stuff, the only thing the mother heard about was the searching of the 9mm, the ammunition on the internet. And that's what she was saying, don't get caught doing. Not like any of the other stuff. That's what I heard.
Yeah. But I mean, still,
that's not what the prosecutor's putting.
I know, but
that's the prosecutor.
I'm not listening to the news. I'm listening to the prosecutor.
Yeah, and they, how they are.
That's the prosecutor's job. You're right on, Kevin.
I'm not listening to the news. I'm listening to the prosecutor, what they're charging him with, and the evidence against him.
Right.
Jeff?
Yeah, I have a question. Weren't there a couple of kids? There were 4 kids who were killed, who were dead. But weren't there other kids who were shot and are still alive?
8 others.
Yeah.
8 others. Yeah.
Well, they would definitely know who had the gun, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's no question about who had the gun. I don't.
Yeah, he had the gun. He did the shooting. There's no question about that.
So
when is all of this going to stop with guns?
It's and that's the thing with Michigan. With Michigan, it's a law issue because there was no law against having the gun. Well, it was a law against having the minor having the gun, but there's no law against locking it up. which is a problem.
Right.
And then the fact that the school sent him back to class, that was a law. There was no law against him sending him back to class, but they did report it.
Trucker Steve, you were going to say something?
Yeah. I said after Sandy Hook happened, if attitudes didn't change after that, it would never change.
Right.
Right.
But
You got little pint-sized little 5-year-olds getting blown away, and they still love their guns after that. I don't know what to say.
So in
The problem
California,
isn't the guns; it's the people.
So in California, if a kid's got a gun or ammunition, the police are going to get involved and they're going to search them. Okay?
At that point, they didn't know he had a gun, though.
Oh, okay. Why would he be searching for ammo? If he didn't,
Right?
If he didn't have a
They
gun.
didn't know he had it on his
have a gun,
person.
I mean, that didn't, okay.
Did he get the ammo somehow at school?
No. They didn't know he had it on his person. They just knew he was
Okay.
disturbed, and he was looking for it. He could have had the gun at home, and he was looking for ammo, so when he got home, he could go to the range.
Right.
But he also had this picture, and they knew he was disturbed, and what they should have done is they gave him a 48 hours to get to some therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that in 48 hours, but you can also send him back to class.
Yeah.
You've got 48 hours to get him to therapy.
Right.
They should have gotten.
They could have called the cops and said, "Get him there now."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Well,
and
isn't
that's something that California probably would have done.
What didn't I see that some other people they were considering charging some other people with being accessories to this thing because, like the principal of the school or something like that.
They're looking at the school, but there's nothing really they can do because they have the responsibility to immediately report.
Right. How old is the kid?
Nothing holding them down for that.
What'd you say?
How old is the kid?
I don't know how old.
15.
15.
15. Okay.
15-year-old.
We need to stop looking at this Second Amendment as just free for all for guns. I mean, it's about a militia, about having the militia, and then we need to.
Yeah.
This is getting absurd.
Well, I mean, I really think we should probably try and pass laws against it to repeal the Second Amendment.
I agree, but
I mean, we've never done.
You don't have to just do the Second Amendment. You got to be a militia to have a gun.
Some states are a lot harder. Chicago, city of Chicago, city of New York, you cannot as a private citizen.
New York, you had a thing called the Sullivan Law. Now, I don't know if it still exists, but the Sullivan Law made it illegal to own a firearm in New York City.
Right, and I imagine that still goes on in the city of Chicago the same way. And so they're not.
And by the way, let me just say that the law read that it was so harsh that if you were just arrested for anything and you had a gun on you, you could be sent to jail for the gun.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
You weren't allowed to have a gun in New York City.
Same thing in Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago and New York for cities, and Honolulu, Hawaii, and Sacramento, California, I believe, are the four toughest. The Second Amendment doesn't apply to any of those places. You know, it's just the policy of the cities, the laws of the cities.
I don't know what. Let me put it this way. I don't know what is with. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
In Texas, if you get stopped and you don't have a gun, then you go to jail.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
They give you a gun.
Well, when I lived in Texas, we would have the news on Monday morning, and there would have been like about 7 deaths in bars from guns. Okay, and I went into my newsroom and I said, "How come we don't report this?" And they said, "Oh, because that's just commonplace in Texas." You know, because they had you could carry a sidearm. I don't know if it's still true in Texas, but you could carry a sidearm as long as it was visible. You couldn't have it concealed. So people walk into bars.
Concealed now.
What?
They passed that this year. It can be concealed. You don't even have to have a permit anymore.
Well, they had one other law that was really stupid. Okay, and that was that you couldn't have a gun in a car unless you were transporting it from one place to another. Are you getting what that law was, folks? That if you had a gun and they stopped you with it in your car, you'd say, I'm taking it home.
Yeah.
I'm taking it to work. I'm taking it to the gas station, you know.
And newsflash, U.S. Marshals offer $10,000 rewards for the manhunt of the parents suspected in the Michigan school shooting.
Yeah, I think they're gone.
Oh, so they didn't find them.
Yeah, so they're not, according to the news. Let me look at the whole story here.
I'll go find them.
That's what I heard, is that they're disappeared.
Oh, the U.S. Marshals will find them. Unless
let Charlie talk. Yes, Charlie.
They turned themselves in to face the charges. They got the charges. They paid bail, and then they skipped out.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it's saying. They paid the $10,000 bail, and they're gone.
So,
I gotta have the story.
Are they going to have to forfeit their bail, or
If they don't come back,
if they don't come back,
they will. There's U.S. Marshals wanted posters. I don't think I can send them to you, but you can see it.
Yeah.
U.S. Marshals are pretty good at hunting down people.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yep. When the cops can't find somebody, a lot of times they call the marshals.
But I mean, it's time that we did something about this. This is getting insane.
Oh, it's crazy.
I mean, I'm pro Second Amendment, but I'm tired of these school shootings, and something's got to be done.
Well, I think we should actually adhere to the Second Amendment and have it exist for a well-ordered militia, which doesn't exist anymore. Militias don't exist. They have state militias, but they're the police, and they have guns on them and with them. But just say that it says it makes a caveat of what has to happen in order for you to have a gun, and we can go to Josh on this one. It's in order to maintain a well-ordered militia, the right of the citizen to bear arms shall not be infringed. Am I right about that, Josh?
The wording, you mean?
Yeah, I was pretty close, right?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty close. I don't know if it's exact, but that's
But it starts out with in order to maintain a well-ordered militia. So it gives you the reasons you can have a gun under these conditions, and that made sense back in the 1700s, the 1800s, maybe early 1800s, but today, no, makes no sense at all. To begin with, we pay cops to carry guns for us. So a militia doesn't need to exist. So I don't know, but I mean, it's just very sad.
Hey, Alex, can I read it and tell you why, and so you can see why you look at it both ways?
Okay.
It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
So what we're saying is this was a really badly written piece of law.
Yeah.
At the time, it might have been very relevant. Right now, not so much. The way it was wrote.
Well, it was written because they wanted to keep people armed in case the British ever came back and tried to take the country over.
Right. Absolutely.
That was the reason for it.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't easy to wreak havoc on a number of people at one time. You had muskets, one ball at a time.
Right.
The whole thing was a completely different situation.
Yeah, that's what happens. Everybody who buys a gun should have to have a musket. Really?
Exactly.
They get really tired of hunting very fast. Yes, Charlie.
Josh can double check me on this, but I believe that the Second Amendment was a compromise with southern states so that they could have their posses going out to hunt down escaped slaves. That was the reason for the Second Amendment.
Josh?
I don't really think that would be accurate. At the time that it was written, I don't think that was, nearly as much an issue. I mean, the fugitive slave issue didn't really blow up until much later, and I think the slavery issue was fairly well put to bed for a while after the close of the convention, and then the amendments would have came directly after. I mean, the slavery issue was sort of settled between the factions that were opposing each other for it. I mean, it was born out of compromise to get a government going. So I think it was mostly left alone. I mean, I think it had much more to do with the fact that there's this misunderstood bit that, you know, framers, etc., you know, were true lovers of democracy, and, you know, many of them feared it pretty well, pretty fiercely, and as a part of that, some of their distrust of government came from the fact that governments often came with, you know, a strong arm military, especially Great Britain. So their main concern was that many of them were very skeptical of standing armies. All right, an army should be raised to fight a war, but outside of that, it should be disbanded, because if it's not, it could be used by the government for nefarious purposes versus the people.
Yeah.
Therefore, we'll disband it. We will keep our citizens well armed so that in case of emergency, we can form them back
but
in.
This was written at a time when there was a whole to arms kind of thing going on, you know. Oh, hey, the British are coming. Let's get our guns out and let's, you know. I mean,
it would have been for anything. I mean, I think, you know, really post-Constitution and post-amendments, westward expansion was on everyone's mind, and Native Americans and, you know, Spanish presence, you know, a few other things was present. I mean, it was basically just to keep people ready for the defense of their particular area. I mean, really, even still after the Confederation was done away with and the true United States was born after the convention, you know, states, even once they were not colonies anymore, they were states, they still didn't give a damn too much about other states' problems, okay? Things were local. I mean, Virginia wants to expand into the Ohio territory, and they're having some problems with Indians. Well, I live in Delaware, or I live in Maryland. That's not really my problem, and I'm not sending any troops to help you. You know, that's not my concern. So things were much more localized,
right?
You know, not really federalized. You know, it remained that way for a long time.
Yeah.
Really up into the Civil War. I mean, I know we had a Union Army, but the states were still responsible for raising their own regiments, etc. You know, so it stayed that way for quite some time.
I noticed Jack had his hand up. Yes, Jack.
I wanted to ask Josh Wheeler a question, though. Wasn't the Second Amendment used to some degree after the Civil War to maintain a second-class citizenry in this country?
Yes, in the South.
Well, I mean, if people own weapons, you know, they certainly have a power over people who don't own as many weapons or don't have as many people to wield those weapons. So I don't know if the Second Amendment was. I think just the fact that, you know, people
but wouldn't you
banded
have to,
together for the cause that they believed in, that we didn't.
Well, sure. But, you know, I don't ever remember us black folks ever putting together our own militia.
You weren't allowed to.
Exactly.
No,
and also they I know that they maintained slave patrols, and they used
now in Chicago they're called gangs.
No, in the South they had slave patrols, and they used the Second Amendment as an excuse.
Yeah, but that was prior to the Civil War. I'm talking about post-Civil War, when the Second Amendment was used for the purpose of suppressing black folks' political initiative.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, actually,
one of those critical race things that we don't want to talk about in this country.
Actually, in the South, they were thinking of passing an amendment that says that the, in order to maintain a well-ordered clan, the right of the individual to bear matches shall not be infringed. So.
Matches, and marshmallows.
Yeah, that was borderline racist.
What?
Borderline?
Borderline.
What was borderline racist?
What you just said, Alex.
How was it racist?
I don't know.
It was joking about the Ku Klux Klan, and how many funny jokes do you know about the Ku Klux Klan?
I don't know.
It all depends on what bars you walk into. I know lots.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Well,
What about those critical race things that we don't want to talk about in this country?
Actually, in the South, they were thinking of passing an amendment that says that the, in order to maintain a well-ordered clan, the right of the individual to bear matches shall not be infringed. So.
It all depends on what bars you walk into. I know lots.
Yeah. No, but anyway, it just, I mean, I just think this preoccupation we have in this country with guns and, oh, my rights have to be maintained, and they're maintained by having a gun.
The Michigan shooting has not really made big news. I mean, it made big news the day it happened, but it's kind of faded in the past couple of days.
No, it hasn't. I turned on MSNBC, and it's like they're jerking off telling this story because they got something to talk about.
CNN doesn't. I mean, they cover it, but it's just
no. They cover. They had press conferences, and they were all. I watched every network, including Fox, by the way, who you would think might avoid it or whatever. They were all carrying the press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you think it's interesting that it took just one school shooting in England for them to decide to do something about gun control there? It took one school shooting in Australia.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
they actually
absolutely.
care about their kids.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
It just makes me sick that we don't do anything. It's just incredible. We just sit there and watch it.
I think that if Kevin's right, if they're going after the parents, it's a pretty rarity in this country, but they ought to go after the parents more often. Yeah. If the parents rather provide or have a weapon that's unsecured, that's not in a locked safe, like that, and a minor, their child.
They're not all as responsible as you, Alan. I'm sure. How many guns did you say you have?
7.
And where are they right now?
In a 400. Let's see. In a safe.
Yeah.
But the point was that the prosecutor made was that Michigan law says you don't have to lock up your guns, and that was the fault in the law. But
yeah.
As a responsible citizen, you should lock up.
Is there a law in California that you have to lock up your guns?
Absolutely. Not only that, but in the past, like 6 or 7 years.
I'll bet you any amount of money you got, and Charlie, you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong on this, and also Jack. I don't think there's a law to that effect in Texas.
Not that I'm aware.
No, but as a responsibility, as a gun owner, you should do it.
Yes,
absolutely.
You don't need a law to do it. California just goes out of their way because we got a bunch of. We're the land of fruits and nuts. I mean, that's it.
That's right. So
I gotta take exception to that. I live in the land of fruits and nuts, where every New Year's Eve in my little suburbia, there's gunshots being fired
everywhere, Jack.
Yeah.
In just New Year's Eve?
Really.
Every holiday.
So in California, you asked a question, Alex, so I get to answer it here. In California, about 5 or 6 years ago, they not only require you to keep your firearms in a safe, but now you need to put on the form to buy the firearm that goes to the state the name, model, and serial number of your safe to make sure that it's Department of Justice approved for firearms in California.
Good.
I think it ought to be that way across the country.
But the thing is that to begin with, they say, well, if you only criminals will have guns if you make guns illegal. That's not true. If you make it more difficult to get things. I mean, we shouldn't even have to have this discussion. We should not have to make guns illegal. We should allow people to buy guns if they want them, but Americans are not responsibly using those guns. They're not responsibly adhering to the laws regarding those guns. So, it's a field day for everybody. Hey, everybody go get a gun. Have a good time. Yes, Alan.
Well, I'm not going to get any feedback from this group, but from my Republican friends, I would. I don't think citizens in the United States have a need for non-hunting, non-target guns, and that includes the AR-15 that everybody knows what it's about. You can call it an assault rifle or whatever.
Does anybody go hunting with an AR-15?
Hunting human beings. That's what.
But I'm saying, does anybody go hunting with an AR-15?
It's powerful enough to nail a squirrel.
Here's what I think they should do is what they do in England. If somebody wants to use a gun for hunting, that's fine. There are gun clubs and there are hunting clubs.
And the guns are stored there.
The guns are stored at the hunting clubs and have to be checked out.
Australia is very similar.
Yeah. That's if you want to argue that, okay, hunting is something I'd like to teach my son how to do, it's kind of a good old boy thing and whatever, okay, fine. Go out to your hunting club, check out your gun, go out into the woods, kill yourself a deer. I hope you're going to eat it. I hope you're not going to just stick its head on your wall, okay?
Just to give you a little more information about the AR-15, it shoots what's called a 5.56 or a 2.23 round. Mm-hmm. It's a 22 caliber bullet with a rifle cartridge behind it. Just to give you an idea. So it's only going to be able to kill small game. Mm-hmm. But it's used more often in school shootings. The military uses it as the primary law gun. And I just don't think U.S. citizens, other than the police and the military, should have it. I'm sure everybody on the show would agree with me. Phil would be going nuts right now.
Steve, what are the laws regarding guns up in Canada? Are they, because Canada is a country that it does a lot of hunting.
Well, you're not allowed to open carry up here. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about guns, so I don't really pay attention to the laws. But yeah, we got a lot of hunters up here.
Well, I do know that per capita, Canada has about as much gun ownership per capita as the United States. And
yeah, I know they're supposed to keep them locked up and stuff like that.
But virtually none of the lethality that we have here. With here, it's a sickness with us. Yes, Jack.
Well, I'll give you an example. Hold
on a second. Yeah.
Let Trucker Steve go ahead.
Yeah.
The entire city of Chicago had more murders than the entire country of Canada. Put that in perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
In 2016, the entire city of Chicago had more murders than Los Angeles and New York put together.
Wow. And where there are a lot more people.
Right.
And we've had a lot of deaths, gun deaths here in New York lately,
Yep.
I guess it was that people felt that if COVID wasn't going to kill you, I'm going to, so.
With the new Texas laws, Austin's setting a rate for murders by gun.
I'll bet. And if you're black, you need to wear a lot of armor to protect you, don't you?
I just don't go out.
Yeah, there you go.
Jack, you had your hand up?
Oh, my goodness. I've got the solution. It's simple. It's easy. You can own all the guns.
The bullet should be illegal.
Yeah.
Bullets should be highly taxed, $500 a bullet, and you will see the problem stop pretty damn quick.
Problem doesn't get stopped, though. The only problem is, if you make guns illegal, or you make bullets illegal, or you make anything illegal, what do you get? You get the same kind of rampant situation you had during Prohibition. And I think we learned something out of Prohibition, that you can't suddenly make something illegal. And you also can't raise the prices on it, because then people are going to start dealing in bootlegs.
Yeah, so
market.
I guess what you're saying, Alex, what Jack had said, Jack, so take this into consideration. You and I are hunters or target shooters and have to pay $5 a bullet. Therefore, we can't, tax-wise, or just for the price of the bullet. Do the gangs and the bad people go buy it that way? No, they buy it illegally. What do they do?
No, but when they're caught doing something, they start off with a 20-year sentence.
That would be great, but you didn't say that.
My question is, though, how easy is it to create bullets? In other words, to make black market bullets.
A lot of people make their own bullets.
Absolutely. You reload the equipment. You'd have to make.
But don't you have to go get the parts for it? Like the shells, and then
send it to your house. Send you the bullets, send you the case, send you the primer, send you the powder.
Yeah. Well, if it's illegal to send your dope through the mail, why can't we make it illegal to send?
Who says it's illegal to send dope through the mail?
Yeah, really. Who said it's illegal to send dope through the mail?
Oh, you mean I can get my 420 fix through
Hey,
the mail?
how do you think
You know-
how do you think we get it here?
Yeah, really.
Well,
Yeah.
you're in New York. You can get any damn thing in
Well,
in
New York,
except
in New
Alice.
York, we're waiting on this whole legality of pot to take place. It's in the what do you call it? The state house. They're sitting around, pissing around, trying to figure out how are we going to make it illegal? How much are we going to tax it? How much are we going to do this? I mean, by the time they get, they do it, I'll be far gone.
We are still waiting here in Texas for medical marijuana to become available.
Yeah.
One thing the state of California tried to do a couple of years ago was force the ammo manufacturers to put serial numbers on the bullet, the thing that actually goes flying. But the bad guys aren't going to buy bullets that way. They're going to buy the ones without serial number, and most bullets fragment upon impact. And if you don't have all the fragments, you're not going to be able to trace the bullet back to who bought it.
Right.
So, Doc, what would you do if you ruled the country? What would you do to stop this?
If I ruled the country,
you're a former cop. You got to have an answer.
I do have an answer. You're probably not going to want to hear it.
How do you know I won't?
I don't know. If I ruled the country, I would not allow people under the age of 30 to buy firearms.
Doesn't bother me.
I would require a background check. That way people were more mature. I'd require a background check that's done by a government agency instead of...
But don't we already have background checks and they don't appear to be... Obviously, they're not working.
In California, you have a 10-day waiting period. They call it a cooling off period, but they also do a background check on you. In Texas, you walk into a store, lay your driver's license on the counter. Yep. They give you the gun, an assault weapon if you want, the ammo, and don't poke an eye out, instructions.
Well, that whole cooling off period seems kind of stupid to me because, yes, I know it's going to prevent people to suddenly decide, I want to kill my wife because she's driving me crazy from buying a gun and then suddenly being able to get it right then and there.
That's right.
But how about all those people that already have a gun and want to kill their wife? Come on. We got to be practical about this, and we got to do something. We've got to do something about, I often said that we didn't make cigarettes illegal, but we made them something that people would disdain. Oh, you're a smoker. No, you can't smoke around me. You made it more difficult for people to smoke by not letting them smoke in restaurants, movie theaters, places like that. So that when push came to shove, we took any kind of social bearing that you got from holding a cigarette in your hand. And now, how many people here how many people on this panel smoke? Anybody smoke? See?
Not cigarettes.
See? At least in a normal conversation, okay, let me ask this question. How many were smoking 20 years ago? Okay, so we had one. That's how he got his stroke.
That's how he was smoking in between stealing cars.
Yeah. Right.
You were a car thief, Jeff?
Yeah.
Cool.
When he was a kid, he stole a car.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
What kids don't steal cars when they're kids?
Hey, I never stole
me.
I know. I never have either.
Me either.
I had my first new car stolen.
Well, it was by Jeff.
I think so.
Yeah.
Jeff's actually a mafia boss living in Jersey.
Oh, you think he is? He doesn't live in
I
Jersey.
do think
He lives in Connecticut.
He lives in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Connecticut's good too.
There's
So
some
wait a minute, I
mobsters
thought
in Connecticut.
Charlene Martinez was a mafia boss in New Jersey, according
Yes,
to
he is.
Yeah, she's from New Jersey.
No, she's just muscle. She's just mafia muscle.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Good line. I got to use that.
Ray, if you were on the show more often, you would have known that Jeff was from Connecticut.
I do know that. I
your
forgot.
balls, Ray.
I forgot. Yeah.
Teasing a little bit. You said you're going to be on the show more often. I think that's a good thing.
Thank you. I do want to be.
Yeah,
Just-
we enjoy
I
having
think
you
you.
here.
I think you add a lot to the show. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. But anyway, I just don't understand the whole gun thing. I mean, guns have always frightened me. Because I had a gun pointed in my face for an hour once.
That's enough to make you not want to.
With the hammer cocked. And
Good thing they didn't have any bullets in the gun.
No, they did. They did.
Wow.
It was
Which
a kid. It was a
which
kid.
ex-wife was that, Bennett?
What?
Which ex-wife was that?
All of them. No, I mean, it was a kid I knew, and he was kind of a JD, but he was my friend. And he one day he said, "Look what I got," and then he pulled the gun out and he pointed it in my face and cocked it.
Jesus.
And I sat there for an hour, and finally, I was afraid to move. I was afraid to go because I didn't want him to suddenly, fire the gun. So I finally, at one point, I said, "Oh, fuck it. If I die, I die." And I just said, "I don't care. I'm not putting up with this any longer." And I got up and I left. And I turned my back to him, and I was just waiting to hear that gun go off, but it didn't. And after that, I can't even hold a gun. Okay? I can't even hold it in my hands without shaking.
But didn't you have to qualify with a handgun when you were in the Navy? I had to do that.
What did we do? No, we didn't. No, we didn't do handguns. We did rifles.
Squirt guns.
And I
gotta tell you, this friend of yours, the next time I saw him and he didn't have the gun in his hand, would have the sorest fucking testicles from my boot.
Yeah, well, I mean,
through that.
He had problems, the kid, and I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, But I'm alive today, so I can't, it's not fun.
No.
Somebody just wrote down here on the chat, Don Jeff Stein. Hey, from New Jersey, it's Don Jeff.
That's right.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest mafia leader was Jewish.
Who?
Help me, somebody.
Meyer Lansky.
Yes, there you go.
Well, he wasn't the greatest. He was the money man.
Well, also he was the only one of the major names that never got popped. Never did any time.
He did. Oh yeah, he did. He
No,
got
he didn't.
arrested.
What about Bugsy Siegel?
Bugsy Siegel.
Bugsy Siegel was Jewish, wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah, but he did do time before he died. He did time.
No,
He did time before he died. Well, he died in 1947 because the mob was tired of him stealing money from them.
That and the fact that he really liked to get publicity, and they don't like getting publicity.
No.
It's not something that they take anything less than umbrage to. But
that's why a lot of them were happy when Gotti got put away.
Yep.
No, I don't
With
think.
all
I think
his
Siegel. If
$2,000
Siegel was in jail, it was in his early part of his career, and it was just for a short time.
Yep.
But the rest of the time, he was just out there. He was one of the three guys, was it, that created Murder Incorporated. And what they would do is they would be the mob's enforcers. They would go out and kill people for the mob.
Well, there were a lot more than three, but maybe the first three. I don't know. So.
I can't remember. There were about three of them.
He was a murdering nut job, that's for sure.
Yes, he was.
Hey, speaking of cocking a gun, did anyone see the Alec Baldwin interview with George
I was going to go looking for it today, and I forgot.
Claims
to
he
do
didn't
it.
pull the trigger.
Right, but then he had to have, but I don't think he knew he did. You know what I think Alan? I think it was a revolver. So when he picked it up, it doesn't take much. You put your finger on it, and if you cock it, the trigger's pulled. Even if like you let go of the hammer, it's pulled. He probably didn't even know he did it.
Okay.
Listen, I'm sure he feels terrible.
Oh, he was crying on the interview. I mean, he was just sobbing.
Well, that got somebody off recently. That kid that killed the people, he was crying, and then he got off. So.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But this is different. I mean, Jesus, he was just like taking direction from the director that he shot.
Is that what you would have pleaded, Roddy?
Yeah. Yeah. He also was saying some stuff you can tell the lawyer told him to say.
Well, I don't know. Marjorie said to me tonight, I don't know. She said, I don't know why he's talking, because he's going to be in the middle of a lot of lawsuits because he was the producer of the film.
Yeah.
And the question is, why did his lawyer let him do this? And there must have been.
Well, I think if you watch it, you'll know he's really good. He's really good at telling his truth and then also inserting the shit that it's obvious that his lawyer told him to say, but you can't tell the difference unless you really think about it.
Yeah.
Well, he's a good actor.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. But I think he feels terrible.
Oh, he feels terrible. There's no question
I
about
think
that.
so. I think so.
No question. You'll see. I mean, he looks like shit.
I wonder if they're ever
looks
gonna,
like he hasn't slept in a month.
I wonder if they're ever going to go back and try and finish the film.
No.
No?
No.
They got some Rust-Oleum out, and no.
No. He's
Nothing
slated to
takes
do
forever.
another film in January, and he's not even sure if he's going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, I feel sorry for him. I don't
Oh,
think there was
terrible
any
for him.
irresponsibility on his part.
It's so awful. It's so awful.
I don't think he intentionally
No.
killed this person.
No way.
It
did he
wasn't like he
intentionally-
was playing around with the gun or anything.
That's
He was
right.
simply doing with it what he was told he could do with it.
Yeah.
you
That's
know.
right.
And
But the gun was loaded.
But
with
what it
ammo
was,
because-
I think somewhere during that day, a bunch of people were taking this gun out and firing it and using it and playing with it. And then
That's
it
the
went-
rumor I heard.
Yeah, and then it went back in and they didn't take one of the bullets out.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Wasn't this out in the desert?
Yeah, it was out in the
Yeah.
desert. Yeah. So, I mean, the
Yeah, a
tendency
lot
would
of
be...
movies were filmed on this location. I forget what they called the ranch
Yeah.
out there.
You know, I've been involved in some things where there was weapons, and the armorer is supposed to, right before every scene, they're supposed to open the gun, show everybody there's nothing in it. They're supposed to, you're supposed to go through this whole thing, and then you give the gun to the actor, and none of that happened.
Yeah, we do that on the range for safety. If we're going to be demoing something with a gun where the barrel might point towards a person, so we make sure the gun's empty, the magazine's out, there's nothing in the chamber, and we show several people or even everybody the gun's totally empty.
But you know,
anytime you,
what?
have to point a gun at anybody, you have to do that stuff.
But what you're saying goes to prove the point that if you're going to that extent, this is a very lethal object you're holding in your hand.
Right.
Absolutely.
And why we take it so lightly, oh, it's my freedom to have a gun, is amazing. Yes, Jeff, you had your hand up.
Yeah, but if you're 16, you don't play by those rules.
No.
You know, when I was a
16
kid,
shouldn't have
when I was a
guns.
kid, I played with guns, but they were toy guns.
Well,
And people say, well, that's terrible. Kids shouldn't have toy guns because, you know, and the fact was, I knew it was a toy.
Yeah.
I didn't,
It's a toy.
you know.
It's an $8 gun.
Yeah.
It cocks like a regular gun.
Yeah.
It fires like a regular gun. I think they ought to be illegal. The magazine drops out. I think they ought to be illegal. It ought to be one solid piece of plastic, and that's all the kids need.
When I shot mine, water came out of it, okay? Or you put a roll of caps in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I remember having a cap gun as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, when
But
I was a
they make
kid,
they make them too realistic now. This
Yeah.
thing, like I said, the magazine drops
yeah,
out.
because I know that's
No.
a real gun because it's colored just like a real gun.
You'd be surprised. You would be
You'd be
surprised.
surprised. You can print them up like that.
You can also
Absolutely.
you can
You'd be
also
surprised.
you can
I
also
know
you
paint
can
it
make
gray.
a print a gun now.
We
yeah.
lost Jack Bishop. Let's thank him for being with us because he's next on this
Oh, yeah.
Gabnet network with the intersection. So, you
I
know,
won't be there
why won't you be there?
because Friday nights I usually take care of my mother.
Take care of them,
Uh-huh.
huh?
Is mom?
Aw.
Are you taking care of mom tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for being here, by the way, and not taking
Thanks,
care of
sir.
mom during our show. Thank you, Charlie. Great having you. 2 nights in a row. It's a real pleasure. Josh, always a pleasure to have you here. You put some 2 cents worth in that really helps distill some of the questions we have about things. Trucker Steve, good to see you. You're looking healthy. You're looking, you know, well, I'll be glad when you got that USB port put in and everything's fine with that. Hey, Jeff, thank you. And thank you to Ray. I'm taking on your word. You're going to call more often.
Yep.
Okay. And of course, Kevin, gosh, what can I say? I love having Kevin here. And your cat was in the background tonight. A black cat, right? Yeah. How many cats do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
No, one.
One. Okay, so that was the
I
one.
had 2, but the other one died.
Anyway, everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, okay? Because we got to get rolling out of here so that Jack can do his show. And let me see. Once I get these people off here, there we go. I go back into sync somewhat. Anyway, I just was looking at my picture, and I look like a foreign film, okay? Anyway, Jack Bishop is next with The Intersection. We'll see you again on Monday with the pop-up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's broadcast over at Facebook. And then it will also be streamed on YouTube later on in the day. And then we'll see you again next Wednesday night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her. By the way, wear a mask or get a vaccination, but please help kill this thing. We've got to do something about it. Bye.